Good afternoon once again from Allianz Park, and a very warm welcome to you, well, if you're just joining us, and a welcome back if you were with us a little earlier. We've already been on air, of course, with the 2019 Champions Trophy final, but now it's the turn of the 2019 AASE League final, the Advanced Apprenticeship in Sporting Excellence, to give it its full title. And we're very much looking forward to this final to be fought out between Beechen Cliff School and St Paul's Catholic College. It's the 11th year of the competition, and we're not too far away from kickoff. Well, hello and a very warm welcome to you. Great to have you with us. My name's Nick Heath, and well, we are honoured once again to be with some rugby royalty. She's just brought up 50 caps for England and the Red Roses following their successful three-match Quilter international series. That's what I mean. Natasha Hunt, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. How much did you enjoy the Champions Trophy we had a bit earlier?
Yeah, no, really great rugby on display. Like, the boys were throwing it around, some unbelievable offloads. So it's a great day for it, and it was great to see them throwing it around.
Yeah, if we get any closer, we might get involved in the warm-up here, which is going on behind us. Wellington College, who were the winners of the Champions Trophy, but this is all about the AASE League, and well, we've got two sides here that are looking forward to going toe-to-toe. Beechen Cliff, who were back in a final, having lost out last year to Hartpury, and they will be looking to go one better, and a St Paul's side who are in the final for the first time. As we build up to kick-off, let's hear how the coaches are feeling ahead of this one. Richard, tell us about this St Paul's side and, of course, your links with London Irish.
Yeah, well, obviously this season we've kind of got as many boys through the academy as we can, which has certainly strengthened the side. I think for the first time since I've been here in the 4 years, we've got a more competitive forward pack and a backline who can still move the ball as well. So I think in the past we've been able to move the ball wide, but not always been able to out-muscle teams, and hopefully, obviously, that this team will be able to do both. So far this season we've proven that in periods of time we can do that, so we'll see what happens today.
Has anyone stopped talking about the result against Hartpury?
Yeah, I think we did our best to stop the chat pretty much immediately, because we said it's fantastic, however it actually is not the final. It's not your final, although it was a big day for us, a huge day for the club. It's not the final, so I think we pretty quickly kind of put a stop to that. It was we wanted to enjoy the experience, particularly for the boys, but it was it wasn't everything. It had to be about this game, so we had to quickly turn the attention through to Beechen Cliff rather than focus on Hartpury.
Yeah, and what can we expect to see from the St Paul's side then?
Well, hopefully, as I said earlier, the ability to play tight, to move the ball wide as well at the same time, to challenge set piece, to challenge in ball carries, in defence in particular. I think certainly the hallmark of our performance against Hartpury and leading up to that game was our defence. So fingers crossed we can continue with that. Obviously, a week off is great to rest some bodies, but sometimes it affects the flow of continuity. So yeah, we'll see. And I think also, the fact that we're new to this is our first final. Beechen Cliff, having been here last year, probably is a slight advantage, and I think certainly there's a few polls going around putting them as favourites, but I'll be frank, that suits us. I think no one's really given us a chance all season, and I'm happy to be like that.
Is it Richard Pryor or is it Eddie Jones? The mind games have started. We thank you for your time. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Well, Sean, Beechen Cliff back here at a final. How's the journey been this year?
Been a great journey, actually. Been plenty of ups and downs, but we've learnt a lot in the journey getting here, that's for sure. Last year was a great occasion. We didn't quite put it off on that day, but we've learnt a lot from that process and brought it with us this year. So we were beaten last year by a very good Hartpury team, and to truth be told, we didn't manage the weather very well. So we've deliberate ploy this year to come back with an all-court game. So we've got a game which we can change to suit any circumstance, any conditions. So still, the running rugby that we saw last year, that is in our DNA, but we've now got a much more territorial game. We can play possession rugby. We're comfortable without the ball, so we're in a fairly good place, I think, in terms of our mental state, I think. Yeah,
you touched on it there. What are the hallmarks of this side? What do you think they're doing well at the moment?
Well, I think it's all based, like all rugby, on solid defence. We've had that all season, and that's the basis of everything we do. But I think beyond that, we're looking to play some good rugby. We play some offload rugby. We keep possession of the ball really well, and we play really quick rugby, lightning quick ball all the time.
What will be the last messages you say to these boys then, ahead of this occasion? Some of them, of course, who will have been here before.
Well, the ones who came last year are desperate to put it right this year, that's for sure. And the younger lads in the group are really looking to learn from the experience. Our message is clear, really. Just we've been working so hard on this to keep faith with your processes, stick to what we know best, okay, and it'll come through.
Sean, appreciate your time. Best of luck.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Look at that beautiful blue sky above us here in North London at Allianz Park, the home of Saracens, but of course where all roads lead for our school's final. The moon is up as well on a wintry Wednesday afternoon. We hope you are very comfy and cosy wherever you're watching it, whether it's through the England Rugby channels or whether it is through Free Sports. Delighted to be with you. My name's Nick Heath and alongside me is Natasha Hunt, and we can have a look at the teams for this AASE League final, starting with Beechen Cliff, who are coached by Sean Turner, who we heard from just before the break. The front row then of Archie Stanley, Jasper Spandler and Archie Alexander. Then the second row, Mackenzie Graham and Alex Ashton. In the back row, John Stewart, who was on the bench in last year's final, Will Raftery and Frankie Reid, who started in the second row in last year's loss to Hartpury. Halfbacks are Victor Webb and the hugely experienced Orlando Bailey. He is in the Bath Rugby Academy. Of course, that is who Beechen Cliff are aligned to. He was on the bench against Scotland, playing for England under-18s. Almost single-handedly took Thomas Hardy School to the under-15 school Vars glory a couple of years ago. The wings for Beechen Cliff, William Morris and Ben Loughton. And in the centres, it's Jack Wiltshire and Bradley Law. At the back is Isaac de Buriat. St Paul's Catholic College, skippered by Rory Morgan, plays his rugby with Ireland under-18s. And well, looking at the front row then, Tarik Haffar, George Davis and Ash Sharima. Second row, Oscar Janssen and Luke Parr. And then Freddie Fernley is in at 6. 7 is Michael Mason and 8 Ethan Powadira. Halfbacks, as we mentioned, Rory Morgan, he's alongside Archie Hurd. The wings, George Davis, one of those in his first year, along with the man with the speedy wheels, Michael Dykes at 14. Played for England under-18s during the summer tour to South Africa. The centres are Harry Rabjon and Matthew Barrett. We'll expect to be taking up the kicking duties. And the fullback is Will Field. Those are the replacements for both sides. Edwin Zomovic played a bit of rugby for Croatia. And Messrs Walsh and Walsh are not related. So the crowd are in, the bobble hats are on. 50 cap Red Roses scrum half Natasha Hunt has got a very nice bobble hat on next to me, sporting the sort of tangerine pink. Enjoying it very much.
Thank you, Nick.
So, well, in terms of this match, if you're just joining our coverage, Beechen Cliff returned to the final after their narrow defeat to Hartpury College last year, and they will be desperate to turn that result around. We heard from the coaches they would like to do to claim a maiden AASE title after just a few short years since joining the league. St Paul's, well, obviously they're looking to achieve that same goal, and they will be full of confidence, having beaten Hartpury last time out. This, of course, has been known as the fixture that is the Hartpury match, but they weren't in the final in 2016, and they've missed out this time. So that will give St Paul's further confidence, and also the fact that they actually beat Beechen Cliff 19 points to 13 when the two sides met earlier this season. That game was at home for St Paul's, though, and Beechen Cliff will have the advantage of, well, a number of players in their side with AASE final and Allianz Park experience, all of which sets up for a very exciting game this afternoon. For both, as we say, it would be a first title indeed for 9 of the 10 of the AASE League years to date. Hartpury have won. Only Exeter College in 2016 have broken that streak, but it will be broken once again today. Beechen Cliff are aligned to Bath and the Bath Academy, and London Irish are aligned to St Paul's. St Paul's registering other wins over the likes of Filton College 24-22, Oaklands College 31-12 and Myerscough College 26 points to 5. For that win against Hartpury. But here come the two sides past the silverware, which they will be hoping to have their hands on in around 70 minutes time. 35 minutes a half for this one. If you joined us early for the Champions Trophy coverage, you would have seen a Wellington College side who were incredibly dominant, flying out of the blocks in that opening 15 minutes. A race league final between Beechen Cliff and St Paul's College is about to get underway. And Natasha Hunt, what do you want to see from both of these sides?
It's a lovely day for it, isn't it? The winter sun that we talked about earlier, so I'd love to see them both throwing it around. We can see here the final preparations of St Paul's just absolutely battering through the tackle pads. Really strong clear outs. I'd like to see a bit of that, but I'd also like to see some running rugby. Get the offload game going.
Absolutely, that's what we'd like to see. Referee, man in the middle, ready to get the game underway. Sam Phillips. If you've seen any of the courage from the Roslyn Park Sevens over the years, Sam has he's risen up the ranks, so great to see him in charge of this final. There's a good crop of young referees who are on their way through. And just out of your shot, St Paul's have just come together again, just to get in the huddle, have the final call.
All good, James, all good, Greg.
And it is Orlando Bailey.
Mate, all good, thank you.
Can play a bit at 15 as well. He has turned out in the Red Rose of England, playing in that under-18 Six Nations Festival in April. And we're underway. The 2019 AASE League final. A momentary juggle of the ball by Barrett.
Stay on there. Stay on
Pulls up for another carry to try and set the platform for a bit of an easier clearance from Rory Morgan. He's looking for the touchline. Hasn't managed to find it. It does bobble into touch now.
All right, guys, so it's first it's back from blue, then it's a knock-on from red, so scrum blue ball. Thank you, James.
Good early comms from the referee.
Back from blue first, and
Yeah, decent nudge, wasn't it, from Morgan? Potential early nerves from Barrett there, just fumbled that kick-off catch. It looked as though they were shaping to send that first phase through the boot of Morgan, but good decision from him. He was under pressure, he took it in, recycled the ball. They knew what to do to get their 9 back on his feet to be able to send that clearance kick as well.
Yeah, having a quick chat to Richard Pryor pre-game, he said that the kicking game of Rory Morgan is a strong area of his game. Although he was quick to point out that he hopes he's not put the mockers on him as a result. But here come Beechen. Little dummy of the ball to Bailey, who was running around the corner. Didn't end up coming to him. Instead, it's going to be the big carry from John Stewart. It's the halfway line. Back for Bailey. Decent air on that, and it's coming down just inside the 22. Would have loved it to have been about 3 or 4 metres closer in. Of course, if you are in control of the ball outside the 22, if you've caught it outside, then you can't make that clearance straight to touch. You would need to bounce it before it goes into touch, or it would come all the way back in line from where you kicked it. But that one, as far as Bailey was concerned, was just into the 22, so it's allowed St Paul's the opportunity to claim it and make the clearance to touch through Will Field.
Yeah, good composure and good decision making at the back from field as well. Had the nous to just stand under that, call them up before he'd even called the ball, so the referee knew what was coming.
St Paul's with possession. Combination of Pawadira and Fernley. And they're sending Dykes screaming after this. He is quick. Oh, and he might get the advantage here. There was an error, and Dykes has done brilliantly. Sensational opening score from St Paul's. Michael Dykes was on his bike, and the error on picking it up from Beechen Cliff has seen the young man finish the score off.
Brilliant bit of play, just timing of this pass. 8 to 6 in the back line, finding the space, and what a fantastic piece of skill that is from Hurd. Great decision making. Knew that the space was in behind because obviously it was a Beechen Cliff line out, and what a chase. 2 errors, one at the line out, one on the pickup of that ball as it's bobbling around, and they're over the try line. Heartbreak for Beechen, but brilliant play from St Paul's Catholic.
That looks to have done the business as well for Matthew Barrett. Just the start that St Paul's would have wanted.
What a lovely piece of skill this is. Got his head up, easy there just to pass the ball out wide and give them the running meters, but that is huge pressure. Huge pressure.
Orlando Bailey, the man who couldn't quite gather it under plenty of pressure. Beechen Cliff nil, St Paul's 7.
We are inside.
Solid claim from Taburiat.
Stay on, Red.
Pawadira well cleared out. Bailey wants to try and kick the corners. Field just allows that to come into the 22 so that he can make a clearance himself. That one is going to carry all the way to touch. He's had an assured couple of first touches, hasn't he, the St Paul's fullback?
He really has. Just how cool he is, how calm and collected he is to let that ball bounce. We've all been told throughout the years, don't let the rugby ball bounce. You never know where it's going to come.
That's yours, okay?
But he literally just lets it bounce. It bobbles up straight into his hands. Takes a few seconds, gets his breath, and then just sends a really, really strong clearance kick to reset his team.
Jasper Spandler. Good operating line out from Beechen Cliff. On a carry from Frankie Reid. He was well met by the St Paul's line. Very careful of the offside line there. I think Freddie Fernley may have been. In fact, it's I think related to the tackle. Bailey's gone for the little chip through. He had the penalty advantage. He knows he can come back.
Yeah, I like to see that. It's a bit of flair, isn't there? You mentioned him before. Bailey's going to look for himself a little bit today, but what a lovely little shape to the line. A little dink with his left boot as well. We know he can kick off both feet now.
The voice of Natasha Hunt, experienced campaigner with Gloucester Hartpury and with England. Bringing up the 50 caps as England took on Italy to complete their Quilter International Series.
Red paint yours, please.
Here you see this little shape.
Keep coming, keep coming.
Dink of his left foot, outside of his left boot. Love that.
Hey, next time I'm going to have to free kick you, aren't I? Step off.
Good platform this for Beechen Cliff. Looking to strike back. They are engaging the drive. St Paul's have left a couple of their bigger men out of this. Pawadira's not got himself involved yet. Referee Sam Phillips says Beechen are the ones who brought it down, so no penalty, and they will be required to play it themselves. Bradley Law was at a bit of a standing start there, but pumped the legs and managed to get going pretty well by the end of it. Attempt at a low chop tackle from Archie Hurd did enough. It's a carry from Alex Ashton. Quick pick from Stanley. You can see the communication going on from Victor Webb, the Beechen Cliff 9 there, telling him that's what he wanted his next forwards to do. It's a good drive from Tarik Haffar defensively, sending Beechen back. Stayed a couple of times there. Good work from the loose head.
Step and get on sideways.
Now it's handed away to the scrum half, and they run around on the outside through Bailey. Lovely quick hands from him. If the pass could have got away from Taburiat, it was a certain score. Look to try and go themselves.
No advantage, go back for the penalty.
They're coming back for a penalty.
Brilliant tackle, wasn't it, from the blue scrum that come flying in, nice and low. We fought for all money that Law was through on that phase of play. Really good defensive set from St Paul's. The power game really is being matched. Beechen's power game really being matched, but lovely pass, great tackle, and fantastic play from the fullback getting involved to slow that ball down.
Please, yeah.
Orlando Bailey. using his experience to decide that at this stage, 7 points down, game management tells him that taking 3 points while they're in this area is key.
We all seen the same thing there, guys. Yeah.
Impressive start from both teams, isn't it? Putting some really nice phases of play together. Obviously both looking to employ the territory game. They're both looking to clear their lines pretty quickly to get out of their own halves, but brilliant defensive sets. Their power games seem to be matched pretty closely, so I'm looking forward to watching this one unfold.
Beechen Cliff 3, St Paul's 7 as St Paul's send it really, really high into the blue sky.
Nothing there, play on.
Beechen Cliff look to just tip it on, send Spandler into contact, away from Webb, looking for the next one. Out of your picture, Michael Dykes, the try scorer for St Paul's, who was just involved in that little collision from the restart, has stayed down.
Stay six! You go, thank you.
It's back for Field. St Paul's are trying to hold them up here. Beechen Cliff drive through, and it comes to ground, and it's a penalty to St Paul's.
Nine blue isolated, holding on.
This is that restart again where we've lost the winger, but brilliant high-hanging kick from Morgan. He is having a great opening 10 minutes. Looks really lively, bouncing around, rallying his troops, telling them where he wants them.
It's going to be worrying moments for St Paul's. Dykes, one of those with the experience at England under 18 level. He's played in the A-League as well. He'll desperately want to carry on if he can. He's just got a bit of a tweak on the ankle. Let's just see if we can see anything in this. I think he's just got his feet caught up underneath Frankie Reid. Beechen Cliff from the line out, looking to get going, but it's a relatively unforced handling error from Bradley Law that will bring that to a close.
Oh, he'll be gutted with that. He looked up and he saw acres of space because they've lost Dykes off the wing down here. Literally, he had about 20 metres of space with 3 men outside him. Field was just hanging back in the backfield. He was under no pressure to push up and try and close that space down. And he's just taken his eye off the ball.
Dara Walsh has come onto the field. Morgan wants it from his number 8 and gets it. Now they want to put a little bit more depth on it. It's a decent hit up the midfield. Tackler stayed in the fight. It was good from Jack Wiltshire. Power-Dira, look at him, trying to just jostle his way through and maintain possession. Plays it away for Chirima. That's the 10-metre line. Morgan gets it away. Again, away from Hurd, bringing Walsh into the play. Freshly onto the field, makes his first carry. It's Luke Parr. Hurd again. Oh, he's just forced the handling error in the tackle. There is an appeal from Ash Chirima, but it did go forwards.
Yeah, it did. Some nice phases of play though, fizzing the ball around. He's had a couple of really good carries so far. Great targeting of the ball.
Okay. Make sure you keep your hips square, yeah?
As Beechen come in there, but some brilliant play, isn't there? They really are going through their phases, not necessarily making a lot of ground because of the Beechen defence. They're really, really solid. They're coming up as a line together. There's no real dog legs. I'm loving seeing how flat they're playing to the line there.
Sean Turner watching on. Archie Stanley involved in making that decent hit. Now they will pick. Reed feeds it on to Webb. Bailey turns inside, knocks down the interests of Rabjohn. And now they'll go again. John Stewart.
Step on.
Now through into the midfield, but lurking in there is Spandler, the hooker.
Step.
They'll go the same way. Bailey just has a little look about a little chip through, but then decides that he'll play it away to outside centre Bradley Law, who stays strong through the midfield. Got a hat-trick of first half tries against Exeter, did Law. And showing that threat on that outside centre arc. It's a lovely line from Stanley. Well picked out by Bailey. It's a loud blast on the whistle, but we've got an offside, I think it is, against St Paul's.
Yeah, 5 red. They're just letting them off the hook, aren't they? Again, defensively seem to be really well set, coming off the line. Some lovely passing. That was a great holding line. Just got them onto the outside edge. Taking on Barrett there, but a good tackle. Good floor work to get the ball back, recycle it quickly. And another shot at 3.
Michael Dykes is just waiting on the sidelines, and he's had a fair bit of strapping on his foot. There you go, ready to go. Show us your dance moves, Michael. So, penalty opportunity. Beechen Cliff to try and double their tally. No problem for Bailey. 2 out of 2 from the tee. Beechen Cliff get to within 1 now after that early score from St Paul's. Beechen Cliff School 6, St Paul's Catholic College 7.
Clever game management, isn't it, as well? Just keep chipping away at that scoreboard. They haven't looked likely to score a try yet, but they're right in this game.
Dykes is onto the field, and he's getting after this. Handling error might present St Paul's with an opportunity. It's a good pick from Powadera off the floor, and he's still going. Rampaging Powadera. Back in, Haffar.
Scrum advantage over 9.
Morgan plays it away. Janssen. Chirima. It's a penalty. Beechen Cliff got themselves into a really good position for the turnover there. All credit to John Stewart there. Maybe this was the carry from Powadera.
Look at that feet, the footwork of him before he goes out. One hand, carrying the ball in one hand as well, just sheer power. Brilliant play. Brilliant turnover as well. He really did target the ball. Managed to get both hands around him and the player, so super difficult to come off. But that's a let off as Bailey misses touch.
Clearance from the penalty, not too hot. Dykes with the speedy follow-up, but Bailey has shown a little bit of class to get through that. And now Field under plenty of pressure. Oh, he's had the kick charge down. He was a little bit casual about it, and it might turn into the score for Victor Webb. And having done so much so well, Will Field, the St Paul's fullback, there was just a sense that his little chip through was perhaps a little undercooked, and so it proved to be.
Yeah, just a little bit slow motion, wasn't it? He carried it towards the line. He's gone way too close to the defender. Too readable as well. It was really obvious that he was shaping to kick. This is a brilliant little bomb though. Sent up by Morgan, fantastic chase. You've got to make your hit on this. Too easy for Bailey to just slide out of those tackles. And then a lovely little roller put in. Field, as you said, has been so good. He's just gone too close. Really well read, and a brilliant charge down. So difficult to pick that up and sprint away from the covering defenders as well. So that is a fantastic finish from Webb.
Brilliant work from Webb. Any of you less familiar with the game, the charge down is allowed. It's not considered a knock-on, so you're allowed to go for the charge down. And then if you're successful, regather the ball. That's exactly what Victor Webb did. And the end result is 7 points for Beechen Cliff. Conversion from Bailey. And he takes them up now to a 13 points to 7 lead with those 2 early penalties. Another little look at it. And Webb was away. The chasers had to come in, but he needed that early acceleration.
It's not a bad decision from Field either. He just needed to put a little bit more on the boot, because defensively you had Bailey sat really deep in the backfield, so the backfield kick wasn't on. He had no support. There's no outlet other than to kick really, or carry and try and find some support.
Restarts have been absolutely on the money in terms of exactly the same spot every time. St Paul's perhaps need to just make sure that the right men are there to try and win it back. Certainly putting it right on a 2-pence piece every time. A little bit of footwork there from George Davis. Now those who was chasing Webb back to try and stop that try going in. Carry from Freddie Fernley, but he's stopped pretty well by Archie Stanley, who's showing what he's got defensively. We heard from Sean Turner ahead of this game about how Beechen Cliff are bringing this all-court game, but how much of it is built on a strong defence. Big collision there in the air, but I think Archie Hurd has just taken a little bit of a knock, the St Paul's fly half.
Yeah, I'll keep working the guys back.
Staying down.
Go on, Red, go on! Go on!
Beechen. Law with a little show to go. Stanley. Tackle was good enough from St Paul's to not allow him to step straight through it. Reed. Bailey. Drilling that one across the floor. It's a really tricky one to read, but Field has done well just to allow it to jump up into the bread basket. Tried to show some real strength against the Beechen defence there, but did enough just to keep it in. There's a penalty advantage now being played to St Paul's for a high tackle, so George Davis will carry it on, knowing they've got that penalty advantage. And where's it going to go? Lovely offload around the corner from 6 to 7, Fernley to Mason. And then a quick pick, really good awareness from Haffar. Now what can St Paul's do as they come through the middle? It's a sit-down move from Pawadera. He's eventually brought back himself. Archie Hurd is only just getting back to his feet. Big hit on Barrett there. But St Paul's maintain possession. Hurd's only just back to his feet, but he's already calling his forwards out of the way, and he wants the ball now, which he gets. Goes with the long ball to Luke Parr. Parr is well met and driven to the ground. Morgan has the option to look for Barrett down this near side. Lovely look from Barrett. Now Dykes. Brought to ground. Beechen Cliff got themselves in a position to try and turn it over, but losing their footing. Now they're throwing men in. Referee says he came through appropriately, so there's no problem with it.
No advantage. 8, you need to go back to an onside position before you make that tackle.
Pawadera wants to take a quick one, but wasn't quite on the mark.
I am loving how lively he's looking. His carries every single time. Bit of flair, bit of footwork, making gain line. Good to see Hurd back on his feet. As you said, he came straight back in, bossing his forwards. He's gone back down now. I'm not sure he's okay. It was a really brave effort in that kick chase, but he's clearly taken a bit of a hefty knock.
You're fine, yeah, you're on the line.
Key moment for St Paul's. Can they use this platform? Beechen Cliff not competing in terms of the jump, but in fact Beechen have gone in a little bit too early in terms of trying to defend it and bringing it down. So there is a penalty advantage being played to the boys in red here. Archie Alexander needs to let that go. Pick and go. Are they going to get much change out of the Beechen Cliff defence if they go close quarters? Fernley. Luke Parr this time. In fact, there is Parr. Ball is driven to within a metre. Morgan has gone digging for it. Is there another pick to get over the line? There are celebrations certainly, but referee is not in agreement just yet. They go to the blind side and the try will be scored. It's Pawadira and he's powered over.
Love it, Nick. Yeah, absolutely, Pawadira. What a strong opening 25 minutes he's had. Brilliant ball in hand in the loose. He's made some unreal shots. He's also been a menace at the breakdown and a fantastic finish on that. He goes nice and low, gets his feet stuck, and then he just extends his hips, which gives him the extra little metre.
Well, this is the one side that they thought they might have gone, but then it's as they go the other.
Yeah. Clever play as well. Morgan's in there digging the ball, and then he realises that the Beechen defence fans back out, so he's like, keep it tight, keep it tight. Good communication, you can hear it over the ref mic. And then fantastic finish. Nice and low, extends his hips. That gives him the extra half a yard to get over the try line. Brilliant play.
Looks like a shy chap, doesn't he? Good work by the officials as well. I think probably the assistant on this near side who was helping our referee out with the call. And now Barrett to try and add the extras. So the lead changes hands. Beechen Cliff School 13. St Paul's 14 now. We've got a real game on here.
He caught his own team off guard, didn't he? It looked like they were shaping to go around to the right-hand side and carry on going the same way. Gets back up off the floor, spots the gap. Good finish. If you're going to take it, if you're going to nick it there, you've got to finish that.
Yeah, you certainly do. Coming out just outside the 22, old Beechen Cliff nearly in such a good spot to catch that straight from the restart, but Will Raftery just couldn't quite get his hands on it, and Rory Morgan has decided that the quick tap is the order of the day from the penalty. Pawadira straight back into the carries. It's like a bear caught in a trap at times, isn't he? Haffar wrestled really well to get that ball to ground. Knew he was in a fight. It's up from Archie Hurd. A little bit of miscommunication, but Orlando Bailey is the one who comes away with it. Beechen Cliff know they're in a game here. Having missed out against Hartpury this year, real sense that they might have just the right blend of experience who've done it before and new blood to help take them there this time. St Paul's have other ideas. Huge collision in midfield. No quarter given or asked in that area, is there? Now then, this box kick from Morgan has just gone straight up and straight down. There's a knock on already. We'll come back for the Beechen Cliff scrum. It is all going on, Natasha Hunt.
It really is. Look at this, though. This is the frustration of the charge down kick, if ever I've seen it. Just ran straight back in. Good fend.
It wasn't so much that he even put his shoulder into it, just kept running.
He just kept running. For me, Morgan and Hurd have had a good opening 25 minutes, but both kicks on those occasions need to go further. It's fine to go high and compete, but you've got to put it in a space where you're dragging the Beechen players onto it, or you're putting it far enough that you can get some return if you manage to get ball back, or if you manage to hit it back. At the minute, they're kind of going straight up in the air, which they're not going to be happy with.
Natasha Hunt, England women's scrum half, knows a thing or two about the box kick strategy. Orlando Bailey helping Beechen Cliff get going through the back line. Good bit of footwork from Ben Loughton there. Now a bit more depth, Bailey. A little bit of a juggle in midfield. Just did enough to hold on to it. Webb goes short side once more. Bailey then feeds away. It's really nice stuff. Has that gone forwards though? Well, no matter, Beechen Cliff were into touch already.
Yeah, we do need to get that fixed as well, Gregor. Blue, the line's yours, okay?
Nice bit of approach play, isn't it? Good timing on the pass. Law's been lively. Law's been really lively with his timing, with his outside channel work. Putting people into space, it seems too easy for him out there. Obviously that drop in the first 5 minutes, he's long forgotten about that. He's been really sharp.
Davis has overthrown the line out. This could be an opportunity for Beechen Cliff. Oh, well, now they've thrown it away for Dykes. St Paul's will get it back. And quick ball here and a little bit of width. And it might be on. It's just gone forwards. That will have been very, very close indeed, I imagine.
Yeah, it really would have. You just saw the exchanges there between 9 and 12. Ball wasn't meant for him, was it? It was meant for Field coming on, and he didn't realise that Field was outside him. He's just apologising to his captain. Good play though, love that. Identify the space early, get the ball into space. Counter-attack ball is so difficult to defend from. It's some of the best ball to attack from. Just get the ball there early. 2 passes, you'll find the space and go running.
Still a bit of a limp for Michael Dykes. Haffar, Davis, Chirima, Stanley, Spandler and Alexander packing down in those front rows. Pick is from Reed. Seen some super footwork from Bradley Law to get out of those what look like all-consuming initial tackles.
7 needs to roll first. You're fine. 7 needs to roll first.
So Paul's penalised. Now,
7 stopping the first.
it's going to be Bailey for the sticks
to
put Beechen back in front. No, he's having a look into the corner here. Well, interesting change of strategy.
Yeah, it really is, because the lineouts have been a bit of a lottery for both teams. Quite a few have been overthrown. He's kicked really, really well from the boot. He's kept them in the game by kicking 8 points from the boot. So for me, that looked like a bit of a sitter for him. Potentially a bit of wind down there, I'm not quite sure. Maybe they just fancy it.
Yeah, well, given the tightness of the game, I wonder whether it was a time to go for another 3, but proof will be in the pudding here. Can Beechen Cliff create the score from the line out that they have backed themselves to do from the penalty? St Paul's have to try and defend this legally, and they're beginning to struggle to do so as Beechen Cliff get ever nearer. There's a penalty advantage as well. They won't need that. They're over for the try. Decision vindicated, and 5 points for Beechen Cliff instead of the 3, with 2 to come.
I love it as a commentator when you make a comment about a decision they maybe should have done and then they go and show you why they've made that decision. Fantastic setup, really good line out, really strong. Soon as he's hit the ground, the ball is transferred to the back. Brilliant transfer, and look how low they are, working as an 8, nice and low. The line out catcher is just working the 5 over from St Paul's, backing into him, making sure that his whole team is going in the right way. Look at him pulling them in. Fantastic drive, and then really good decision when to break off at the back. Fantastic score.
Beechen Cliff will just start to breathe a little bit easier now. That's the back to the 6-point advantage that they had after the first try was scored. Beechen Cliff 20, St Paul's 14. Morgan, St Paul's skipper, sends that into the 22. And Bradley Law, he's carried on outside lines brilliantly all game, and he won't want to watch that back.
No, he won't. Arguably for me, case for a penalty. As he's knocked that on, I think that he's in front of the kicker picking that up. In front of the catcher, sorry, picking that up. So surprised that they haven't picked that up. I think Morgan would be on that normally. As a 9, you know the rules, you know, you're in the ref's ear most of the game.
Yeah, I wonder if referee Sam Phillips has just afforded a little bit of leeway there.
quite possibly, but these scrums have been really solid. Both teams have retained their own scrum ball, so I anticipate this coming out to the backs. Or a really big strong carry from that man there.
Absolutely loves it, doesn't he? You could see Webb also wanted to get out the way on the floor because he knew who was coming down on top of him. Fernley. Come round the corner, Haffar. Can St Paul's get a key score here? Get themselves into the lead before half-time. Dykes didn't want to step too close to the touchline there. Field kept it alive in field for Barrett. They need the support on him. Ball comes back. Dykes is scragged just in time. Come round the corner for Haffar. Really solid defensive drive from Beechen Cliff. Morgan looks up, decides that Luke Parr will be the next man to try and carry it on. Have gone backwards through a couple of dominant hits from Beechen Cliff here, St Paul's. Now a bit more width. Hurd onto Barrett. Barrett sensed that the opposition defence had come up. Thought there might be room in behind, but the men outside him weren't quite on the same page to launch themselves into that space. And Beechen Cliff now have it. Bailey, keep it in the hands. Ticking up towards the 35 minutes. Will be on the referee's whistle. Webb, Bailey wants to go straight downfield.
He seems to have the magic touch. I've never seen someone let a ball bounce so much and it work out for them.
It's amazing,
Fantastic
isn't it?
fielding from field.
I just leapt into his shoulder. Just perfectly.
He was almost surprised.
Powered era. Will Field, rugby ball tamer. That may have drifted a little forward on its way to Rabjohn.
It's a full pass and then it's a knock on.
And Sam Phillips decides that that will be it for the first half. Well, we've been treated to some thrilling rugby once again, Natasha Hunt.
Yeah, we really have super competitive game, isn't it? Both of the teams throwing the ball around. Boys are playing some really, really strong rugby. I'd have loved to have seen Barrett keep hold of that ball. In the last 2 minutes of the half, they were making good ground. I know he didn't have a lot of options. I see why he saw the space in behind and put the kick in, but that close to closing the half out, just keep the ball, you're in there 22, recycle, go again, work to an edge, get some structure, then you can come back all firing.
It's the voice of Natasha Hunt, who will be staying with us for the second half. 2 converted tries apiece. The difference, those 2 penalties from the boot of Beechen Cliff's Orlando Bailey. They lead at half-time at Allianz Park in the AASE Championship final by 20 points to 14.
Good game. Benches.
No. Sorry about the sub come across wrong. He came off.
Oh mate,
He played. He's meant to come back on, and I was like, no.
What, the injured player?
Yeah, he came off.
Fair enough.
We could run on doing play.
Didn't even notice. That's the sign of really good fourth fishing. So, all the same. Right, let's keep going in this half, boys. So, again, make sure we're same both ways on the offsides. And keep pushing me to push them. Yeah. Enjoy, boys. Enjoy. As I think one of the camera guys will come and give you a nod of when to start again. I did in the first game.
It is the 2019 AASE League final, and the half-time score: Beechen Cliff School 20, St Paul's Catholic College.
Let's go, guys.
Very good afternoon if you're watching across the England Rugby channels, or indeed if you're watching on Free Sports. And if you happen to just depart us before half-time with Free Sports, well, I can tell you you've missed none of the action. It is 20 points to 14, 6 points in it, and we're just watching Richard Pryor lay the law down at half-time. We've seen that man Paradira with plenty of strong carries during that first half, and then this was good fortune for Michael Dykes.
Yeah, lovely decision making to send the kick through. Obviously Bailey, he's had a strong first half, but he needs to do better there, and a fantastic finish. Tricky to dive onto that ball. Brilliant hands initially as well from the forwards, finding the space.
How long we got? How long we got, James? Cheers, mate.
Brilliant from Dykes. He then went off the field and received a fair bit of attention, but that was how things started in the first half. And try from Paradira from St Paul's. Also tries from Victor Webb and from Jasper Spandler for Beechen Cliff. 10 points to the boot of Orlando Bailey so far. And it's St Paul's who send it into the 22. Bailey, who has cleared our commentary position with that kick to touch.
Yeah, interesting decision for me. I'd have let his forwards catch that. He's run about 5 metres out of position to catch that ball and then kicked it, but in doing so he's not given himself a good angle to clear that ball, which is why he's only made 7 metres rather than the normal 40 that we've seen him make so far in the first half.
St Paul's make the error at the line out and hand it to Beechen Cliff, who will look to try and play from their own half. Bailey has stood just inside his 22. Put some airtime on that. Invites Darragh Walsh forwards. Got clattered, but he's done all right.
That is a great catch under so much pressure. Brilliant kick, really great timing on the chase, and a fantastic catch. Staying down on the floor as well, that's a brave decision, but he didn't take his eye off the ball.
Alexander Chirina. Changes to be made by both sides. Oh, now look at this, the footwork and the pace from Jack Walsh. Super yards for St Paul's. Darragh Walsh is pointing them to the left-hand side. It comes through Hurd, and now a gap that nearly opened up for Barrett. He was ready to surge into it, but it didn't quite happen. Now they're pointing that they should send it wide for Dykes.
Okay.
Away from Morgan. Zaimovic.
Get a player off, James, get the winger off.
Well, Beechen Cliff might have got themselves into a good position for the turnover there. Might be a little bit unlucky that Sam Phillips was in disagreement.
Thank you, James. Stay on, Blue.
St Paul's. It's a solid drive. Takes them up to the 5-metre line now. They will continue to try and pick, and it's been a quick pick as well. We saw them do this in the first half when Paradira was the one to eventually get over. Now they get there. Bradley Law's got to try and get himself out of there, which he does. Penalty advantage is being played against Frankie Reid for an offside. They've got the numbers if they want to go wide, but they don't need to. The try is scored. And it's Tarik Haffar, England under-18s prop, diving his way through. And what a start to the second half, just the start St Paul's wanted.
Yeah, brilliant play by them. Just a really strong, composed finish, wasn't it? They're just waiting for the ball to come back. They're not putting the ball too far back. They're latching on, they're driving. The angle as well, they're going on the outside, they're going on a 45-degree angle, so every time they're diving at the shins, they're going to make ground. You all know we can't defend now with hands on the floor, so it's really difficult, and when you're going up against a little 9, Webb's doing his best there, but the sheer power is always going to overcome him. Brilliant finish.
I think we are Possibly seeing the last of Michael Dykes. A little shake of the head as he leaves the field.
Yeah, it's a shake of the head. He's disappointed, but equally, we've seen the impact of Jack Walsh just come on. And he's done so well. So not only are you potentially putting yourself at detriment, but also the team. If you can't run at your best, you need to make that decision unselfishly, unfortunately.
Backwards.
Restart not taken cleanly. It came down for Morgan, who had a bit of work to do to try and reclaim it. Haffar. Strong carry, just as he did a few moments ago up the other end for the try.
Their subs seem to be making a real impact at the minute, don't they?
Morgan is charged down. He's managed to look after that pretty well, and now he's gone for the little chip through. And where's this going to bounce? 9 on 9. Webb turns around. Field is in there following up with the hit. Beechen Cliff through Reed. Webb. Bailey coming in on the crash ball. Mackenzie Graham. Bailey again lining up the next man to come through the gap. It's Bradley Law. There's a penalty advantage now being played against St Paul's. Play it straight. A blow for the penalty straight away.
One red, pulling a 9 into a breakdown.
I love that rule as a scrum half. It's nothing more frustrating when you're trying to play the ball. Keep the play moving as being pulled into the ruck. Very frustrating, but also clever play if you're trying to get into the 9's head. Oh, and Bailey's mistouch again.
And look who it is who's in position to field it. Oh, Bailey. Can he work to keep that in field? Now he goes back and plays it back to his support player.
No, thank you.
Reed. Bailey looking at his options, was almost caught in two minds, but Bootstrap's pickup was solid. Reed. Pass was perhaps questioned, but that's sent over the head of everybody. And just a little bit too loose from Webb that time.
What a shot that was from Davis in the line. Absolutely stopped him dead in his tracks. Brilliant tackle. Just stunted the momentum slightly, which is potentially why that ball has been thrown too far over. They're not playing on the front foot, they're still coming onto the ball just as quickly.
It was over the head of De Buriat as well, wasn't it? Morgan in for Hurd. Haffar not afraid to take them on in the midfield, and he's still going. Oh, it's a brilliant break from Haffar. He's made 30-40 metres. Morgan is trying to get Beechen Cliff players out of the way. It's head down from Joe Keohane. It's a penalty, Beechen Cliff. Sam Phillips ready to reward the man who was in the right position and the first man on it. What a run we had from Haffar, though.
That was incredible. He almost slowed down. I was almost ushering him to speed up into the contact, but then as soon as he hit contact, he hit the leg drive. The acceleration through is absolutely fantastic. That's the ball gone backwards into the tackle. Some good continuity coming from St Paul's at the moment. Beechen look to be throwing it around a little bit more when they do get hands on ball, but the continuity really is coming from St Paul's. Very impressed so far from Captain Morgan.
Beechen Cliff trying to engage as many of the St Paul's forwards as possible.
18, get away! Penalty advantage, 18 red in the side.
There is a penalty advantage against Keohane.
You've lifted it, and you play it back, play on. You've still got the advantage though.
Still got a shot to nothing here. Bailey cleared that away. Bouncing ball.
No advantage, going to go back.
come back for the penalty.
Clever play, wasn't it, from the Beechen Webb? He's trying to dummy to get the line offside from St Paul's, but referee's having none of it. Can't dummy at the back of the ball. As soon as you lift it, ball's out. If he carries on, I imagine he's going to get munched.
No, we didn't notice this, but I'm reliably informed that a few moments ago St Paul's momentarily had 16 players on the field, and Beechen Cliff down below us were absolutely livid. I think just as we saw Sean Turner for a moment there, you could perhaps sense that there was a bit of an exasperated look on his face. Well, I think that may well have been why. No matter, we continue. Beechen Cliff will be feeling the tension, certainly. It's more brilliant work from that man, Tarik Haffar. They're going to look to try and go the same way. Oh, lovely hands from the replacement prop. Stepping back in field, St Paul's, they've come here to play and they've come here to compete, ahead as they are, 1 point on the scoreboard. Michael Mason, Haffar is on the outside. He uses the footwork to step inside the first tackle and again continues to make yards. Oh, and this time it's Ryan Eastley who's at it. The replacements are really having an impact here. Sam Harding going through, the clear out is made, Haffar is there, Morgan can't get there, so there'll be a penalty against Mackenzie Graham, but they're going to come out the back anyway. Oh, and it's really quick hands here. Can they get going through Darragh Walsh? It's the footwork again from Jack Walsh. No relation, as we said earlier. Then the little pop out for Field and back in. It went forwards. But we're playing the advantage and we will go back for that. St Paul's fans think they've got the try. Wasn't quite to be.
Lovely play, just jumping down the blind side from Morgan. Little out the back door flick. Brilliant feet again from Walsh. Both Walshes have really had an impact, haven't they, after they've come on. Look at this little jump. Knows where the space is. Flick it out the back door. And good support play back on the inside as well. Unfortunate that that's not a try, because that was a beauty.
Isaac de Beria gets back to his feet. Beechen Cliff this second half are having to do a lot of defending.
Yeah, there's a real intensity about every single carry at the moment from St Paul's. The leg drive through the contact, the acceleration into the contact. They really are bringing it to them.
Line out successfully taken down from Harding. They need to engage first gear, which they do. Start to get a bit of movement. Beechen Cliff have responded to it well, though. Look at that. Where's the ball in there? Morgan's brought it away. Barrett steps inside, will need support. Davis is there to help once again, and then they're going to use the battering ram of Joe Keohane, but he's lost it, and Beechen Cliff have turnover ball here. Lovely dummy from Webb. Carry from Wiltshire. Beechen Cliff in their own 22. John Stewart takes a few yards. Where is Bailey off to? Check back inside. Law has done well to take those yards in those wider channels well all game. Beechen Cliff coming through at close quarters. Archie Stanley showing that the front row of Beecham in possession, just as capable of carrying, but St Paul's in such a good position there to make the turnover, not quite able to stay in the fight long enough. Now it's kick downfield, spread across for Walsh. He's put his boot behind that. It's not cleanly taken. And now we have a penalty advantage being played. Beechen Cliff are going to try and do the most of it as they can, as they're pushed into touch, so we'll come back. Ball in playtime is beginning to skyrocket.
It really is. Great return, isn't it, though, from that kick from Bailey. He's absolutely walloped it from the middle of his own post, got down just in front of the 22, and then that return, they've now got a penalty on the 22, on the halfway, sorry. Line out now on the 22. Fantastic return. Really, really good game management. Really strong.
Yeah, the assistants just come a little bit more towards us, so probably about 25 metres from the line here. John Stewart now playing hooker. And this is threatening as far as Beechen Cliff are in possession with the ball. Little reverse ball back inside. That was very nice for William Morris, who we've not seen an awful lot of in the game so far. Central position, options left and right. It's going to be Stewart who's the man there. Played hooker for England under 18s. He was actually alongside prop Finn Baxter from Wellington, who we saw earlier in the Champions Trophy. Frankie Reid has picked, but I think he was helped along perhaps illegally by players moving players out the way. That's, I think, what Sam Phillips is saying.
Super clever play again from, I think it's our man Morgan. A word on Davis, though, really good hit. I think he's been really strong so far in this half. Whoever it is making a real meal, showing the referee that they're being held. Absolutely windmilling, trying to get hands off ball. Oh, it's 15, it's on Manfield. Really clever, really smart bit of play, because if he's not doing that, the referee has no idea that that's going on, because that's quite subtle. Really, really clever bit of play. In stark contrast, though, Beechen Cliff's maul is so drilled. They're so quick to the setup. They're making ground 20 metres every time they get it. Whereas St Paul's have had 2 opportunities where they could have scored from a driving maul if they had the same setup.
Yeah, they seem to be keener on doing it in a more slightly loose environment, St Paul's. Now it's come flying back for Dara Walsh, and they're trying to send Jack Walsh away. He bowls it back in field. The passes are as flat as it gets. Referee happy enough this time. Little change of direction from Zaimovic. Makes the yards. It's just invited Rory Morgan to consider taking a few more, and his forwards needed to respond to him. And then it's Haffar, but Haffar has now knocked it forwards, and De Buriat will see if he can set his back line away through Wiltshire and Law. Bailey sets it back. The advantage from the knock-on is now called over, so St Paul's will do their best to defend with this slender 1-point advantage that they still have into this second half. Law.
Great double shot.
Yeah, someone had his legs and someone else put the top half down, didn't they? Webb. Thinks he's trying to go short side. Has to be careful of the line. Hurd has taken a bit of a knock in that tackle scenario. Just on the touchline, feeling it out. Bailey, wondering what his options are. It's clattered a few people and come through the mass of bodies, and now Morgan's looking at his options. He's only got a blue and yellow wall in front of him. Sells an outrageous dummy, makes 4 yards. Haffar gets support on the shoulder. That's nice. A little bit more of that from St Paul's. We'll see them go a long way. Zaimovic, who was the man to support. Now it comes back through Barrett. Davis, who is battering them away as they come forwards. Were they in touch there? No. Says the referee and his assistant. Haffar. His initial footwork is so graceful to get around the position of where the tackler's coming from. It's almost like a tango.
Need to come up with points here. They've been in this position a couple of times so far in this half. It'll be a massive blow if they don't come away with anything again.
Beechen Cliff looking to try and get into the key position to cause the turnover. Haffar goes once more. Stop just a metre short. The referee makes clear of that communication. The referee says short again. St Paul's will have to reload once more. Trying to find the ball to the deck. Plenty of hands are going in on that ball. Oh, and it's been knocked on. Look at the reaction from Beechen Cliff.
That is a huge play.
Knocking on the floor. Scrum blue.
I said it just before, they have to come up with points. This is 3 opportunities now where they've been that close to the line. Oh, that's harsh.
Now then, there's a big question there. I have a feeling that our referee may have been so busy checking that Beechen Cliff were onside, he's just for a moment taken his eye off the initial grounding and looked back after the grounding when the ball was lost. He's on his own out there, though.
If only we had a link to the ref mic. We could comms it down for him, Nick.
Well, to be fair, if we look at the TMO, you'll see you actually pull it short and it's been knocked on over the line. So I'm probably right.
Oh, Sam Phillips has actually had a cheeky little look at the screen there. He knows he hasn't got a TMO, and he's also admitted that he may not be right. But decision has been made on the field.
Continue, yeah? Thank you. All right, guys, watch your way, please. We'll come back. Scrum blue.
Harsh. But it's the decision, is how they manage it now.
Let's check my maths. 16 to go. Yeah. A while. Where's your mark?
He's taking his eyes off it. You see him look at the defensive line, move his hands back.
It's a clear try for St Paul's, but you make the call as best you can out on the field. Sam Phillips has made the call.
Come up.
Steam rising off the 16 bodies.
So eager the 9 drop the ball, so we're going to do it again. All right, here's your mark.
In my whole rugby career, I have never once seen that. The scrum having to be reset because the 9 dropped the ball. I bet his forwards are hating him right now. Come on, Webb. One job.
Scrum Halves Union Chairwoman Natasha Hunt.
We'll see them exit here, I anticipate.
It's a big shove from St Paul's. They've got something to say about that. Bailey with the clearance. It's a good clearance. Taking play outside the 22. But St Paul's will know to go from here. But they need to get the line out right.
It's a really good exit, isn't it? They put pressure on the line out. There's been a couple overthrows for St Paul's. They have to retain possession here, because if they lose this line out, that is a huge psychological shift with 1 point in it to Beechen Cliff.
Let's crack on.
It was a good take from Harding. Oh, now they popped up over on that far side and they're still going forwards, but Callum Hennessy needs to be careful, he's not isolated. The troops then eventually do arrive. As Natasha Hunt has said, on the last attack in this area, St Paul's need to come away with points from these visitations in periods of possession in the 22. And they're back here again. Beechen Cliff's Blaze Sumler is there on the wrong side. They drive Haffar back this time.
First time you said that in the game.
It may well be. This is good defence from Beechen Cliff. St Paul's need to make sure they can get the ball to ground, but they do manage to do so with Zamovic. It's there for Morgan. 5 of his backs looking out to the right, where Archie Hurd is ready to receive it, but they've also got Haffar to the left, which is where they're going to go now. They thought about going through the hands, they then do eventually give it a little more. George Davis would have loved to have done the job. Pick and go, 6 metres out. Got a little further to go. Beechen Cliff are just standing off momentarily. The rest of the forwards now do get back, and well, you see the results. St Paul's are driven backwards with Michael Mason. Hooker George Davis. Well flattened. Cohen.
You see the difference when these pick and goes are really, really quick, when the tempo's high, when you're going on a 45-degree angle, opposed to when it's nice and slow.
Ball was nearly not brought to ground by St Paul's there. They were in danger of being turned over once more. What would it do to them if they continue to expend all this energy and they don't come away with a try. They're getting that close, and now they are over. Try for St Paul's. It's in a convertible position as well, which could open up a critical 8-point lead.
Strong celebration as well, look at that.
Ryan Easley, the scorer.
Brilliant finish. I just mentioned the difference when there's a high tempo pick and go game. It's all about body position, it's all about angles, and it's all about the speed in which you can move. It's a really good carry. He gets his head underneath. You always talk about winning the head height battle. You always hear coaches talk about that. He gets his head underneath, and then as he extends his hips through, that just gives him that extra nudge to be able to flop over the try line. Brilliant finish.
Do they do much on the head height battle with the backs?
All the time. That is rugby. Not the scrum master, we just pass.
Conversion from Barrett is good, and it will open up the 8-point lead. 8 points to the boot of Matthew Barrett.
Critical conversion that is. Barrett's had a really strong game so far. Timing of his passes out wide, his defensive performance has been what's kept them in the game a lot of times as well.
Field taps it back, but it's just into the hands of Beechen Cliff, who were in a good position. If they strike back immediately, then we continue to have a real game on. Archie Maggs with the carry. Now Bailey goes for the missed pass. St Paul's are calling players over to that far side. Bailey with the dummy switch this time, and it might be enough to send Reed through the hole. He's tackled by Harding.
Penalty advantage midfield, all offside.
St Paul's are all offside in the middle, having just scored. They're in danger of conceding further points through indiscipline on the offside line.
Got the advantage, 9 for the offside, yeah?
Webb, Bailey goes for a little chip for himself, knows he's got the penalty advantage. Referee will blow the whistle.
For a penalty for offside.
I'd like to see Bailey looking for others on those chip advantages. He seems to be looking for himself an awful lot, but generally you've got the 9 or the 15 pretty central in behind the line, so potentially open it for just a little dink over, a little angle to his winger. Normally you see it go to the winger, but potentially a little grubble through for his centres to come onto as well.
Well, St Paul's know that if they're to make this work, they need more than a single converted try. So intelligent at this stage to go for the 3 points, knowing that from there they can then use the final 10 minutes of the match to try and build to the 5 or 7 pointer that they need.
Yeah, absolutely, and interestingly as well, how much is that St Paul's attack taken out of their legs? Pick and go, especially for the forward pack. That's a real sustained period.
There's a few of them stretching the legs as well, as you say that. But here's Bailey to cut the deficit to 5. No problem for him. Bailey's total gets up to 13. It's been faultless from the tee. And the Bath Rugby Academy that is aligned to Beechen Cliff. 5-point game. Beechen Cliff School 23. St Paul's Catholic College 28.
When you're ready, 9.
Morgan wants to stick it deep. It's really well taken. William Morris. Bailey. Under plenty of pressure. St Paul's will know from that restart. It was all about getting in the face of Orlando Bailey. Force him into that tighter clearance.
1 is yours, buddy.
Yeah, it's really good pressure because we've seen how amazing his boot is, how much ground he's made when he's had time to take that kick. So really, really important pressure from St. Paul's.
He is. Thank you.
St. Paul's players honeypot around the initial pull down from Sam Harding. He hands it over to Tarik Haffar, and now it's the rumble from Keohane. 5 metres out, St. Paul's are in this red zone again. They score another try here, could be curtains for Beechen Cliff. It would be heartbreaking for Beechen Cliff, having got so close in the final last year, to then work their way back here with all that experience. But are St. Paul's going to pick their pocket? Penalty to Beechen Cliff. Defensive effort is strong and is key at just the right moment.
Yeah, it really is. Around 7 minutes left on the clock. That's a huge bit of play. But defensively, if you look up, Morgan, they're good enough to pick it. These boys have shown that they can throw a ball around. Morgan, Hurd, Barrett have all been class. Just send it out. Give your wingers an opportunity. You've got 40 metres of space with 3 defenders.
Captain, I've got 6 to go. Okay, if you could tell the players to save them asking me, that'd be lovely. In we go. No walking, nothing silly. In we go.
Beechen Cliff line out from the penalty. Inside their own half. It's well spoiled by St. Paul's. Simovic needs to do the simple things well and just tidy it up now, which he does. It's there for Morgan, the skipper. Little dummy sell from Davis.
Fantastic floor work as well.
Eastley, Morgan, Haffar. What an engine this man has had. (18 and 19) stood next to each other, ready to do the bidding. The next set are ready to go. Callum Hennessy, accompanied by Ryan Eastley, the try scorer. Morgan looking to his left, and then for Harding. Beechen Cliff trying to time when they send the bodies in. And they do for a moment, but it's loose ball.
Stay on, Blue. Loads of time.
That's a good point that Natasha Hunt makes as to when St. Paul's are going to send it out to their backs. They are working their forwards.
I think they're just working the clock down. You've seen this time and time again. 6 minutes is a long ask, though.
I was going to say.
For this forward pack, I know they've made quite a few subs, but they've had a massive impact so far. You can see the 10 in behind as well. Hurd, he's just telling them, just carry.
Incredible strength from Haffar to get that to ground. That was the key part of that carry. Oh, what a juggle from Archie Hurd. How did he hold on to that? Still with St. Paul's. And there's a penalty advantage against Beechen Cliff. If they've got any sense here, St. Paul's will take that penalty and have the 3 points. But Haffar's got other ideas, and they may feel that they will have enough of an advantage to try and strike for another try.
This is where you got advantage. Send it out, give your back to strike. You can come back to the penalty.
Look who's lurking in first receiver to the left, Tarik Haffar. The forwards know they could take this on themselves, but Simovic is rebuffed. Loose ball. Will come back for the penalty. Hurd is trying to suggest that calm heads are needed. Look at this juggle from the fly half. Oh my lord.
That's the final, isn't it? He's literally catching the trophy there as we speak. Didn't expect the ball to come back.
Shot calls, not now. 3. No, we'll play on. Shot calls.
Really clever play as well. This would take it to a 2-score game again. Beechen Cliff have got to go. They've got to go high on the restart if this goes through. They've got to go to compete. They've got to get the ball back.
into the pink night sky. Matthew Barrett, in their own crimson shirts, adds the 3 points that reasserts the 8-point advantage for St Paul's. Restart from Beechen Cliff. It's just about managing the clock, as Mo Hunt said a few moments ago. Morgan. It's been a Herculean effort from the forwards of St Paul's. Maintained so much possession during this second half, particularly St Paul's. Carry again, Beechen Cliff go to ground to try and win it. Have they managed to get that back? Plenty of players on the floor with their hands on it. It will be a scrum to Beechen Cliff. And I sense there's not enough time on the clock.
Yeah, what a great game we've been treated to. But as you said, I think about a minute left on the clock. Not enough time for them to get those 2 scores. Valiant effort though from both squads.
Make sure you're on that side for me. Cheers, James. Thanks, mate.
It's a long time to run the clock down on your own 22 without making a mistake. I would like to see them play a few phases, then send it long, try and clear the backfield, get a press on, start defending on the 10-metre line.
Here come Beechen Cliff for one potentially final roll of the dice. Bailey, now they put the width on it, inviting De Buriat on as the extra man on the outside. Forced to carry. Webb. Hennessy. Tieran. Bailey has a little look. Oh, a lovely gap for Stanley to go through. More of what Beechen Cliff have done well. They just haven't had as much possession this second half to show us that they can do it. Ben Lemos into the 22. Webb under all sorts of pressure. Oh, and he's had the ball stolen off him.
That's it.
Jack Walsh with a key intervention. The ball cleared to touch by Rory Morgan. And look at the jubilation on the faces of St Paul's Catholic College. The support staff and all those involved charge onto the field. But it's desolation for Beechen Cliff School. They got close last year, they worked hard, they talked about an all-court game, and they've come here, and this second half display, particularly by St Paul's, was so dominant in terms of territory and possession that they were just barely getting a chance to have a sniff in the end. 8 points the difference in the end. Natasha Hunt, what a match. Who was it who stood out for you?
Pretty much all of the forward pack for St Paul's, to be honest. There's some absolutely standout performances. Davis was brilliant. Paudira was brilliant. Barrett in the centres, I thought he was fantastic. Morgan controlled the game so well, but for me, player of the match has to go to Haffar. That second half performance, making about 20 metres every time he was carrying. His deft touches, his footwork in and around the contact, his tackling, but it wasn't necessarily just in attack, it wasn't just his ball carrying ability. He worked tirelessly around the park as well, and that for me makes him player of the match.
It was an accomplished performance for a man of his age, wasn't it? Looked like an absolute pro out there.
Really did, really did.
Well, huge congratulations to St Paul's and to coach Richard Pryor. The London Irish Academy have certainly got plenty of talent that they can look forward to bringing into the fray through the A-League and through the Premiership and to the higher echelons of professional and elite rugby. And I think the word has just got through to Tarik Haffar that he is Natasha Hunt's player of the match. Fully deserved as well. What a performance we saw from him. Getting on the score sheet as well in the second half. Full time then for the AASE League final in 2019. It's finished Beechen Cliff School 23, St Paul's Catholic College 31. We can have a look at some of the scores if you have come to our coverage a little late here on Free Sports. And well, this was early on, the first score that came from St Paul's.
Yeah, just lovely hands from the forwards in midfield and then a fantastic kick through. What a chase as well. Bailey will be gutted, he won't want to see that again. A player of his standards, he'll want to do better there. And then this one, Field, who had a really strong game, just didn't put enough on it. Brilliant charge down by Webb. So difficult to regather that ball and then sprint away to the try line, but he did so well. Here we see one of a few tries that St Paul's have scored, just the classic forward pick and drive.
Power-Dira here. Oh, I'll get up and just score a try if you don't mind.
Solid first half, wasn't it? He played an absolute blinder in the first half. Here's the strong maul that we saw all game from Beechen Cliff. Really good setup. And then Spanler absolutely nailed the timing off the back of that to dive over and score. Again, here you see that power. Didn't have it their own way all the time at near the try line, but fantastic play when they did get there. There was a lot of composure. And here you see that extending through. Leg drive, little extension of the hips. Good finish. And again, this is why you bring the subs on, isn't it? Really good latch, driving over, nothing you can do about that when you get your head underneath the opposition.
Brad Law doing his best to try and stop them here, but the initial carry from Haffar and then Ryan Eastley doing his best. That low drive.
Yeah, lovely little finish.
Well, a really tight game, fascinating as well, and the lead changing hands several times, from St Paul's being the first to score and then Beechen Cliff working their way back into it. St Paul's then going ahead before Beechen Cliff took the lead into half-time, but the second half performance from St Paul's Catholic College was super. Those two tries from Haffar and Eastley in the second half to just the one penalty from Orlando Bailey. And Beechen Cliff, for all of their endeavour, couldn't really get their hands on the ball. A few very happy faces, and look at the likes of Power-Dira, number 8, gambolling around like a newborn lamb as he is, having a wonderful time. Well, they will be very happy indeed. They are associated with the London Irish Academy. We can hear from Richard Pryor, the St Paul's Catholic College coach.
Well, Richard, just listening in to the post-match huddle there, firstly, congratulations, but first, that seems like it meant a huge amount to you and the boys today.
Yeah, most certainly. We put a lot of effort into that clearly, a lot of personal development, a lot of unit development, and just the fact that last season, wasn't particularly great for us. This season to come and back it up and perform like we did, to get the 2 losses early in the season and then come back from that and win 6 in a row, I couldn't be proud of their effort.
Tell me about this group, because the enthusiasm on the sidelines was infectious. Every breakdown, every tackle, every decision, they lived and breathed a lot of it.
Yeah, I think, we've got a relatively small squad, and I think that helps in many ways, that they're a really tight bunch, and certainly they all enjoyed it. So it was important that the boys who weren't selected today were part of it, and they helped drive that energy. But they are a really close group, and so many of them are upper 6 boys as well, which makes them even tighter.
What about the match itself then? It was in the balance for a long time. You came up against a great Beechen Cliff outfit. You had to be on your game. How is it that those 50-50 decisions, those key moments, went your way today?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure in many ways. In terms of performance, I actually felt our Hartpury performance was a better all-round performance. We made some uncharacteristic errors for us today, but the fight and the determination and the belief to keep the ball, to want to get the ball back when we didn't have it, was just outstanding.
While they received their silver medals, a word on your opponents today?
Awesome. They were earlier in the season as well. They've got some high quality players, excellently coached, and I do feel bad for them. But ultimately, I'm also pretty happy at the same time.
Well, the boys are going to be going up the steps to get the trophy and the gold medals very shortly. A final word from yourself on how proud you are of them, of the group, and what can we look forward to in the future?
Just a fantastic group of lads. I couldn't be prouder of their efforts, and now we want to go on and push our friendlies, get as many boys into the academy team as possible, and then hopefully get a good 7 season out of us as well.
Well, huge congratulations. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Plenty more on the menu for Richard Pryor then. And as we were chatting to Richard, well, you could see the Beechen Cliff players going through to collect their runners-up medals. It's going to be a difficult time for them. It will be exactly what they did a year ago. It will smart, no doubt. They really were hoping to come back and go one better than they managed last year, but they'll have to do it all again in 2020. Peter Wheeler, the RFU chairman, handing out the winners' medals. Ash Charima comes through, another one of those men who firmed up the front row, Pawadira. So critical to the go forward, and well, there's our player of the match, Tarik Haffar, England under-18s. I would say he has a rather bright future. He's playing here at Saracens with those sorts of carries. Mako Vunipola-esque, Natasha Hunt?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was thinking as well. Just the ability to play at the line, but also pull the ball back when you decide to run, to carry that hard, to make that much ground. Fantastic.
She Heard gets the medal on as the last few come up. Rory Morgan is just still halfway down the stairs. Toddles his way up there. What about Will Field as well? We were enjoying his contribution from the back, weren't we?
He was brilliant. He's the most casual fullback I think I've enjoyed watching recently.
There he is, jumping up and down to keep warm.
He was almost just asking the ball to bounce into his hand, and it was remarkable.
So in the background, Rory Morgan going through to collect his silverware. So Peter Wheeler hands over the trophy. The 2019 AASE League champions of St Paul's at Catholic College. A new name on the trophy. Well, huge congratulations to St Paul's Catholic College. Our thanks, of course, to Natasha Hunt, who has been with us all afternoon here at Allianz Park for previously our Champions Trophy final. Congratulations to Wellington College there. And this, the AASE League final for 2019. It's been our pleasure to bring this to you. Beechen Cliff School missing out as St Paul's Catholic College lift the trophy with a full-time score of 23-31. Thank you for your company. From all of us here at Allianz Park, it's a very good evening.